Hello, I'm BBX and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the 299th episode of the Let's Play where I'm playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the console, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be, it's $2.99, it's a big deal. A lot of people will be like, oh, that's special. But I think, I've got a big thing about if something is going to be a milestone, it's not worth making everything before it also a milestone, because that makes it less special. So today is a fairly normal episode, but I did want to do something kind of nostalgic anyway, because you might recall the TU31 Let's Play. I know I should know my updates, but there's like 50 of them, so I hope it was TU31 Let's Play I started over there, because there were brand new biomes, so I had to start a brand new section of the world. This is the old world, that's the new world, and that meant that I could build with the new blocks, and I did a lot of building of that variety. I made a city, and a lot of people really enjoyed that city, and every now and then someone says, Toy Cat, when will you go back to it? And although, I don't think I'll be, seriously building that anytime soon, I did want to, kind of set up a rail link to it, because I've got the giant underground, so basically, right now, if I want to get to the that place, I have to take a boat from here to there, and honestly, I don't know why, but there's just something about boats that makes me not want to take them, like a boat to the island, to a bridge. It's lots of steps. So I figured instead of doing all of that, why not just make it so my metro, my underground railway, which connects up all of my world from left to right, why not make it so that kind of curves across and ends up in that city? So that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video, and that means that it's going to be fun because we're building a new project kind of thing, but also we'll be able to see the new, or the old Let's Play world, the new old Let's Play world, kind of as a part of that, and that should be a good bit of nostalgia, and hopefully you'll all enjoy it. So the big issue with this project, you might think, oh, that's really easy, you just have to build like 50 blocks left and 50 blocks forwards, or right, sorry, not left. But you might think that's really simple, but it's not so simple because I built this entire metro. Again, it literally crosses the entire world. It's just a tunnel which goes from one side to the other. But I built this, giant tunnel before I expanded the world. I even probably, tunneled it out on 360, which means that if I build one block further because of the expanded world, I believe, I was going to say I believe there's an ocean over there. And as you can see, it's not just any ocean. It's a very, very big ocean. It goes another like 15 blocks down. So this isn't as easy as it sounds, but I believe, again, this is just my assumption right here. My belief is that if I go maybe like 30, 40 blocks that way, I'll tunnel back into some like underground thing, and I can tunnel onto the island that I previously was boating to, and then it'll be better. And that might be really confusing and strange, but just trust me when I say that everything should work out if I just start tunneling diagonally. The one downside to that is this entire tunnel is worthless, but it should at least look interesting from the metro. So boom, that's what we're doing in today's video. Hopefully you all do enjoy it. So while that goes on, I wanted to, of course, oh man, I made a mistake with the first, literally the third block I mined, I made a mistake. Because if you're curious, we're going to go diagonally that way. The first thing I want to talk about, because, we're at the stage of the things where, like, things are getting real important, is what's happening next week. I think it will probably be some form of live event. I don't know, like, how live or how much interaction or whatever there'll be, but I think it's going to be a longer event. It's going to be a thing like that. I want to, like, kind of just leave it up and be like, oh, yeah, here's a special long episode. If you like the Let's Play, you'll hopefully like that. That's all I can really say right now, and that's all I really know 100%, because I have some things coming up between now and then, because that's apparently how my life just works these days, which I do quite like that, for being 100% truthful. But yeah, basically, that's what will be happening between now and then, and just so you know, that's what's up. So, this tunnel, by the way, has to be 4 blocks wide, but I'm digging it 5 blocks wide, so we'll have to, like, make it go 2 blocks in further here, I guess, so this is what we need to do to make it 4 blocks wide, and then boom, we just kind of dig this way until magic stuff happens. So yeah, while we work on this, I figure the first thing I should talk about besides episode 300, because that's the big thing on everyone's mind, right? Like 299. The only thing the human brain can think of when it sees, like 299 or 99,999 is when is it going to tick over to the next number. This is why, honestly, I think, to me, the bigger number of subscribers deal will be 999,999 than a million, because a million's like, oh yeah, now you've gone to there, there's nothing to come. But once you're at 9999999, or anything 299, any number that's like close to the next one, you're excited, you're anticipating that rollover, and it's like a really big deal. And I think there's a big part of like, this, I think people don't like to admit it, but I think there's a big part of most people where you enjoy the anticipation a little bit more, or sorry, you enjoy the event a little bit more if you enjoy the anticipation. I think there are lots of like really exciting situations that if someone just said, by the way, we're doing that in 6 minutes time, and then you just started doing it, I think they'd be slightly less exciting than if you thought about them in your head and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be so great. Because although you might think like, oh yeah, if you think about something too much, you'll ruin it, I don't actually think that is true. I don't think that doesn't back up my rough experience. Like, I would say that there's like a certain amount of anticipation that really makes something a lot better. This is why, honestly, I think this is why like rich people are super miserable. If I'm being entirely honest, because like they just do so much stuff with their life that like none of it's exciting. Like, oh yeah, I guess I'll go jet skiing this morning before renting a private yacht and like sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. Sigh, isn't there? I think that's why Notch. Like, I think Notch is my favorite millionaire because like he seems so much like a real person while also being a billionaire, I believe. But yeah, he's my favorite billionaire, and you see how sad he gets all the time because all these problems being a billionaire has, and it's kind of funny to think about. Like, oh, that's the worst. But I think you just about see it when you're like, oh yeah, nothing in your life is exciting because you have all of it. To some extent. I mean, I think if I was a billionaire, I'd be able to manage it myself. I think I'd do perfectly. But I think if you just like expect everything to just get better, I don't think that's how that works. I think there's like several steps of like, oh man, this pickaxe is let's hope it lasts all of today. But yeah, basically I think there are several steps you'd have to manage, and I think being a billionaire isn't just instant fun. So if you dream about winning the lottery, just remember, it wouldn't even be that great. You'd have to like, your life would become more effort in some ways, and that's always a funny thing to imagine, right? Like, the one thing everyone dreams about is being like, yeah, this is the solution to everything. I don't think it really is the solution to very much, and I just figured I'd share that before anything else about like why the 299 is big and why I think 99999 would be big. Like, whoa, something's just around the corner, like that. And then when 1 million's hit, it's like gone. But if you just but if you don't get excited for it, then it won't be like that, in my opinion. So I guess I need to next build some rails because, again, this is what it's going to look like. There's going to be a tunnel in front of me that will go nowhere, and there's going to be a tunnel that way that should look pretty interesting. I guess what we'll do instead, actually, I just realized, like, because, I want to get rid of all this gravel. Let's just use our torches. Let's just have this weird little hole in the ceiling, because gravel is my arch nemesis, but I do need to collect it, so I guess... that's the funny thing, like, gravel, just because they announced the update, just got a lot more valuable. Like, I can't even really insult it anymore, and there's a part of me that's really, really sad about that. Like, oh, no, this is my arch nemesis. What am I going to do without being able to insult it? But... I guess sometimes bad things come with the good things. But yeah, so the one thing I wanted to talk about, that wasn't it, the 999 thing, was the fact that basically I think the evolution of Let's Play is something I think about a lot, and maybe a lot of you do too, because a lot of people say they view it as a podcast, and at first I thought, oh yeah, well that's just because like, you can watch any video as a podcast, you can watch cat videos as podcasts, like, oh, they meow in the background. If you want to, you can just listen to any YouTube video, so I didn't think it was too significant. But I think as time goes on, there's going to be more and more people that do that, but I also don't want to lose, I was thinking like, oh yeah, what if it was just, basically a podcast and no gameplay? But I also think it's really important, like a big part of the Let's Play to me, is the fact that, I am showing off the survival world, and hopefully maybe inspiring you to do something each week. So one of the big things is like, even though this is going to be more and more podcasty as time goes on, I also want to like, because I also talk about, it's also a bit vloggy because I talk about my life and stuff, but yeah, basically, I think I also want to like make sure it doesn't get like to the level of, so we have to go empty our inventory right now. I also want to make sure it doesn't get to the level where like, the visual gameplay is irrelevant to the whole thing. And yeah, for everyone who's been like asking for like a podcast style thing, I think the best, honestly, solution is to like, if you want to listen to it like a podcast, to play Minecraft by yourself in the background. But I also would like it to be like, oh yeah, maybe this can be inspiration. Maybe you see some weird ways to play Minecraft, because I think when it, there's so many different ways to play Minecraft, and I think if you like the way I do it, then there'll be something for you to see each week. That's the plan anyway, and maybe that made sense to some people, or maybe I just was speaking nothing, and I was like, Toycat, you didn't make sense for the past 3 minutes, you were just making a loud groaning noise, and then saying that was important, and if that's what I did, then my bad, I guess. So, let's put our gravel away, put our cobblestone too. Honestly, I'll just start throwing cobblestone in here. I should put it somewhere proper, but just in case I need cobblestone, and I'm on this side of the world, then I'll find this really useful, won't I? So we can also now craft ourselves some railways. You only need 1 stick to craft like 16 rails, so... Oh wait, that means I'm going to have like way too much, but whatever, still we'll do it just because it like looks kind of nice. So 2.5 stacks of rail, that should go most of the way to the island. And then also we should roughly know the coordinates we're going to. Let's guess the coordinates. That's probably just as fun. So, yeah, basically, the big second thing is I wanted to say was just that, yeah, I think this is going to slowly evolve more podcasty, but I also want to keep it, like, roughly visual, for those of you who have been asking. It even came up on Q&A Saturday recently, I think. So, yeah, just a little thing right there. So, another thing that I've been really quite interested in this past week or so is Russia. I went to Russia. I just came back. I came back just before last week's episode went up, but obviously I record these in advance. I record a lot of my channel in advance, so that like if I'm slightly ill one day, or like literally out of the country or something, videos don't have to suffer. I hope you'll appreciate that. I hope that's not like a no, the curtain's been pulled back and now I hate it moment. But no, yeah, basically basically I went to Russia. It was a very fun time. It was a very interesting time there. There's just so many weird things that, like, I feel like, you know, most of the traveling I do is to European countries. Russia is a European country, but it's like the exception to all the rules. So there's a lot of things that are just like standardized for me, like, oh yeah, well, you get into them like this, and everything's gonna be like this when you get there. But Russia's like a rule breaker. Like, you know, even when I went to like America and Canada, they're not European countries, but they're like broadly European style people, and like, you know, this and that. But everything in Russia is just like, yeah, well, you know, there's just this crazy man that decides that this underground bridge is just his bridge, and that, you know, not bridge, like a subway, I guess, because the roads are super wide in Moscow. Like, it's like, that's something I figure you'd see in America only, but no, in Russia they also love their roads being absurdly wide. As far as I can tell, traffic laws are just like they're a suggestion more than a rule. Like, if you want to go at 200, then why don't you? Who's going to stop you? It's honestly, when you think about it, at first it sounds like terrible. That like, oh yeah, well, you go there and all these terrible things happen. But it's almost like it's got to be liberating to be the individual to just decide, you know, I feel like going at 400 miles per hour. Wait, do cars go that fast? I don't think so. I feel like going 300 kilometers an hour on the way to work today. Who's going to stop me? And I feel like there's got to be something kind of nice about that. Like, it's not good for society as a whole, but the fact that you can choose to do that because there's just no one who will stop you is kind of nice in a way. So, yeah, I realized something that, like, really, you know, you might think of it as being, like, entirely different and worse, but I think there's always, like, a trade-off in every decision you make, and I don't think Russia has made a bad set of trade-offs. I think they've just made a really strange set, and that'd be my kind of conclusion on Russia. Like, everything's a little bit weird, but it's not necessarily bad, it's just a little bit weird. Also, we've actually gone into the ocean now, and I'm like most of the way to the island, I think. So, good progress, apparently. Good progress. Oh no, okay, no, this is fine. So, we'll remove these blocks right here as well. I don't know when I'm going to come up. I really should have, like, checked coordinates. I was going to wing it, but now I'm really scared I'll, like, end up in the ocean if I do that. So I guess we'll just go to, like, 450, and then we'll go up till we reach, like... we have to go way further up, actually. We'll go, like, 80 blocks that way, and, like, 10 blocks this way. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. So, yeah, basically, to stay back on point, Russia, very lovely place, would recommend it, but it's, like, a little bit crazy. And I think there's something that's nice about a little bit crazy. So I went with a friend, and he also enjoys the whole crazy aspect of the whole thing. And there is actually something... to be said about, like, how interesting it is to go somewhere where just, you know, you think you understand stuff because, you know, there's a standard that's set and that's how things go, and then you realize, like, no, that's not what it is. Like, there was a lot of, like, weird situations that came up, and it's just like, oh yeah, I guess that's how it is. Like, I went to a fast food chain that, like, only served microwave baked potatoes. Don't ask me how there is a microwave baked potato chain in Russia, but there is, and for the record, actually pretty wonderful. And it's just like, oh yeah, well, you know, how do you order these things? It's just like, oh yeah, entirely different. That's just a thing. Like, there's a lot of stuff which is just like seeping in from where we are. There's also a lot of stuff that's different, and different is nice, honestly. I think every now and then, like, you know, changing things up is pretty good. I would recommend it. So, yeah, as well as you know, Russia trip, wonderful. I want to talk about it sometime, but, like, I think travel stories are the worst to, like, go through too much, because I think they're the least relatable thing you can say. Like, if I talk about, like, that time that I was let me think of a really good example that, like, everyone's had. Let me talk about how much I hate, like, detention. Everyone's been, you know, told to be somewhere against their will at some point. You'll be like, yeah, that really does suck. Or, like, let me tell you about that time I was really sad because my you know, like, I know, I was really sad because I realized that I would never be a firefighter. I know, you know, I feel like everyone can, like, understand some certain stuff from that. I think, honestly, like, to some degree, like, conversation is all about that. Like, oh yeah, we're all kind of understanding what's in each other's heads. But, like, when it comes to, like, oh yeah, here are the emotions I felt when I went to Russia, how many of you, or how many people have been to Russia in general? Like, it's not a common thing, and I think, how many people even travel in general? Like, this is the weirdest hobby I have, and it's one that's, like, not necessarily links up to everyone, and that's why I find that to be quite the thing. So I think 460 is enough now. I think I went way further than I was even intending to. So now we'll turn it back into a regular kind of metro thing, and we'll just dig this way. And then we should end up in the right place, roughly. Although I'll just go straight line, and we'll see what happens from there. So, yeah, also we need more torches. Man, this is a real nightmare to get this sorted. I thought this would be really easy, but little did I know that is not the case at all. I have so much cobblestone on me, around me, but again, this will all be wonderful. It'll all sort itself out. So, as well as my curiosity about Russia. This past week, oh, actually, as this goes up, I've also been, I believe, to Germany again. So there's gonna be some exciting. There probably won't be exciting stories, but there's gonna be some other crazy stuff going on. I've been honestly like traveling a bit too much this month. I think there's like a certain amount of like going around and doing crazy stuff in other countries that's good, and I worry like at some point, what if it's like an addiction and like like in the future in like a year's time, I'll have to travel to I'll have to like catch at least like 12 flights a month, otherwise I don't scratch the itch. I think that'd be crazy if that's how that does work, because I think honestly you can become addicted to anything, right? Or you can really want anything. There's like there's real addiction. There's like your body literally needs this thing, let's say a drug, or it won't survive. And there is also like addiction because you just get psychologically so ingrained in something, you do it every time. And I think this is how like people get addicted to food. Like you might say like, oh no such thing as food addiction. But I mean, clearly there is, right? There we have plenty of proof that people are eating it a lot without, against their will. And I think this is the sort of thing where, I think this is the sort of situation you have to look at and say, yeah, I think you can get addicted to anything if you try hard enough. And I wonder if you should stop yourself, or if like there are certain things you shouldn't. Like, can you get addicted to love? Is love just an addiction to a person? That's like super like edgy teenage thoughts or whatever. But still, I what if that's the case? Should you care about that? I'm not sure. I just think sometimes like, isn't this something we should care about? And then I say, maybe not. But yeah, with that also said, I'm gonna now place all of these rails, and every like 10 or 15 blocks, I'll leave a space. And we'll put some powered rails in later, so just so you're curious. I have a bunch of gold laying around, so I should be able to do that just fine, I think. I think, anyway. So this is going to look something like that. If you're curious as to why it's 4 blocks wide, it's so we can have this, like, divide every few blocks. It's just kind of a handy little thing we're doing. Oh, I just realized I can't have powered rails if it's going super wiggly-waggly like this. Is wiggly waggly a valid term? It's probably not, but that's the thing we're gonna watch out for. So basically while I was in Russia, I was there with a friend, and I had to spend like the whole weekend with someone, which is something I haven't done in a absurdly long time. I think there's like honestly, it's socially stressful for me to like have to be around someone non-stop. I think there are very few people where you can eventually learn to like be comfortable with like being around each other, but kind of chilling and doing your own thing, like being like cute together or whatever, but still having your own little space. But like that's not something I have with my friend who necessarily goes to Russia, and it's who went to Russia, sorry. And I think it's a really interesting thing that like I feel like some people really have to hang around non-stop to like keep themselves going. This is like introversion, extroversion, right? But like to me, it's a really like stressful, enduring task to be like and now it has to be like just hours and hours of this stuff or sort of stuff. And the reason I bring that up is because, having been around someone for like a whole week, we're just below the surface of the water. That's nice to know. Having been around someone for like a whole week, it's something interesting where you realize like why you necessarily get along. And I think the big reason, which I found interesting with my friend from Russia, let's just call him my Russia friend, but he's not a friend from Russia, he's a friend who went to Russia. Just so we're absolutely clear here. If we go 1 block lower down, my life gets so much easier. So I think I'm just gonna do that, honestly. Let's just go 1 block lower. let's just make life so much easier for everyone involved. Perfect. Oh god, no, okay, no, life is not getting easier for everyone involved. So, okay, wait, we'll go a few blocks this way. We'll see. Okay, maybe we go 2 blocks down. Yeah, I think it's fine. Like, usually metros don't go up and down, but sometimes they do. That's an interesting thing. But yeah, so I realized like why, like, we could, talk about pretty much anything and kind of enjoy it. And I realized that the one thing, the big thing we had in common, even because it's interesting that there's certain people who you feel like you're the opposite of everything on, but like somehow that connects you. And there are certain people where you've got opposite opinions and everything, and it makes you really not like them. And I've always struggled to like kind of find the disconnect. But, again, I found one particular example where it's like, even though me and my friend would disagree on everything, we'd still both be interested in the minutiae of every situation. Like the tiny... Oh, a cave. That's nice. The tiny little details about situation. To most people, if you try to talk about like, oh yeah, and this is the system they use to do this and that and stuff, like they're just going to be like, this is a super dull thing. Can we just talk about like, big stuff again? Like, oh yeah, let's talk about, something, the United States, right? Whoa, aren't they doing crazy things? Or like, let's talk about This really big, piece of news about horses. Have you heard? They're gonna ban horses in the world, which is not gonna have them anymore. Whoa, that's really big news. Let's talk about that. But sometimes, I actually like talking about that too. But sometimes it's really fun to get into like the tiny little details about stuff. Because let's be honest, there's nothing inherently interesting about anything in life. There's nothing inherently interesting about, this video right here. There's nothing inherently interesting about Minecraft itself. You make it interesting yourself. That's what we do as people. That's why we enjoy talking about stuff. Because we all find certain things like, I don't have to describe it. I guess like scratching an itch in our brain, right? And that's why I've always found it strange that a lot of people just aren't into minutia, because it's like everything is minutia in the grand scheme of things. Like if you're not talking about how we as a species are gonna get to like Mars one day or whatever, then you kind of just you're discussing irrelevant stuff in the grand scheme of things. If you think your discussion about how like Betty secretly has like 4 kids or something, if that seems like it's super important, then maybe what the actual truth is. Also, I think if we dig up from here, we'll end up in the right place. So, oh, no, I was wrong. I am 100% wrong. But we'll go upwards and we'll see where roughly we are. Oh, no, I overshot it. I overshot it by, like, so few blocks, but I did overshoot it. Oh, man, that's terrible. But yeah, I think everything's minutiae in the grand scheme of things. And that's why I've always been like, yeah, let's talk about, like, this tiny little detail about that. I love the tiny details about things. Like, oh, yeah, like let's talk about something that's, like, politics, but not, because it's the past now. You hear about the French election. Did you know the guy, who actually won it in the end, his wife is like his former school teacher and they met in school? Isn't that cool? That's way more interesting than like, oh yeah, well, he has this policy and like, oh, he thinks this about that important thing. And it's like, no, the cool thing about this is the teacher thing. Or like, I feel like the tiny stuff about everything is always going to just be more interesting because like it's smaller. And that's something I always thought I did enjoy. And that's something I think if you don't enjoy minutia, maybe you should. Maybe you should just think about like, oh yeah, isn't it crazy that like, because I love systems like that keep cities going. It's weird. I know, like, again, this is like a very specific like Toycat likes a thing. But I've always found it like fascinating that like, oh yeah, well every city eventually arrives at the same conclusion. Like, how should we get people around? Oh yeah, we'll have a metro and some trams or streetcars or whatever. It's like, whoa. I wonder how that happens. I wonder why that happens. I wonder why things are done the way they are. And that's something that's like always caught my fancy. And I wanted to share it because I realized it and I was like, isn't that kind of nice today? So yeah, if you want to find that weird, you can. But it's a thing about me that now you know. So one other thing I wanted to actually mention, because whenever I feel like a little bit weird after I say something like this, or if you recall, I made a video about like weird, awkward social moments, or what was it called? Like the most awkward life moments I've had. It was a video basically about like awkward things in my life. And a lot of people like, said like, oh yeah, totally relates to that Toycat, that's kind of cool. A lot of people said like, oh yeah, Toycat, you're kind of weird. What's with that nyeh? Oh wait, was it nyeh? I think it was, yeah, nyeh. Anyways, like, what's that all about? How can you not function like a real human being? And a part of me is like, really like super nervous that like I shared that with the world. And, like obviously, when you've got a channel like this one, a big advantage of it is that there's lots of people watching, and that means some people are going to like it and some people are going to go, Toycat, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Also, we'll do a brief tour, show you around some stuff, by the way. And I think when it came to that in particular, again, it's like, it's embarrassing to share sometimes, but sometimes I don't feel bad because I think, even if like some stuff about, I like the thing about like, oh yeah, the systems that keep a city going. Why is anyone interested in that? I think even though there's a lot of minutia that's like really weird to say on the surface, and there's a lot of like stuff in general, I think there's lots of things that can make you feel weird. I think you'll always feel better realizing that you're not the worst person on the earth. I think there are 7.5 billion. We're going to approach like 10 billion somewhere in this decade, in this century, right? So there's billions of other human beings around. You're not the worst human being. You're not the weirdest human being. And honestly, you're probably not even close. There's probably like, no matter how weird you are, you think you are, there are probably still millions of people weirder than you. And, you can take this in 2 ways. You can say, wow, they're the real weird ones, not me. Or you can say, wow, they're the ones doing this better. Or if you got the whole thing of like, oh yeah, well, I'm as weird as Toycat, and therefore, I'll never even have a girl to say nyeh to. Then you could be like, wow, I'm, so like you can do this with any statistic about Earth, like, oh yeah, well, I'm the person who is most strangely, I only like, let's pick some random like attribute, like, oh yeah, I only like people who have two S's in their name. You know, if it's not that, then I just can't get along with them. Just remember, like, by statistics, everything happens like some crazy amount, and that always makes me feel better. Like, whoa, no matter how weird or strange, you know, like you think your thing is, or the thing that you think is cool is, it's always gonna eventually happen because statistics and stuff, and that's nice. And a point, actually, by the way, this is the Elgato lobby. I hope you all enjoy it. That's something that's nice, and that maybe is the tangible lesson from this. No matter how, in fact, that's why I think that's one of the cool benefits of me uploading that video. Like, if you think you're weird, wait until you say, like, I don't know, wait until you watch the wrong movie just because, like, you feel like you're a little too awkward to, you know, go back and actually get that fixed. Which, by the way, again, another little thing, like, I feel like it was really cool because this, you know, my friend who went to Russia with me was also, like, in the same kind of boat of, like, would prefer not to, you know, would go through some physical amount of discomfort not to speak to people, because, you know, like, it's so much effort to, like, say the words at a person, especially if they don't speak your language, because you feel like you're being rude all the time. And it makes me realize, like, whoa, I'm like a superhuman in comparison to this, because there's always someone who's worse, there's always someone who's better than you, and really this sounds like it's got a vibe of, like, everything's pointless in the end. But no, the actual vibe I'm trying to get across is, like, never feel bad about something, or never feel too bad about something, because there's a lot of acceptance in the world for everything. For even stuff that you don't accept, there are people that accept that. So you're pretty normal things. Everyone will accept that eventually anyway. So I hope you did all enjoy today's video. If you did like it, you can like the video and let me know, because, you know, helps out the channel a lot. Let's know you did like it. Share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you very much for watching. Next episode, I probably will be starting an insane farm thing again, so make sure you tune in next Monday, 9 PM UK time. Type that into Google, and there'll be either a live stream or a long video. Again, lots of question marks, but I hope you'll all enjoy that as much as you hopefully enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.